So I'm back after a long break, and what did I get hit with? Essentially the biggest news of the freaking year at this point, and pretty much, God bless, someone at Square Enix decided to say, hey, for PlayStation Experience, we're going to release something really major. And it was the Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer, with gameplay, all that shebang, all of it seeing, all spick and shine, and with the new character designs and music, we got to see a little sneak peek. But in the end, when the trailer hit, there wasn't much information coming out. But after a couple days, essentially we got as much information as we need to really talk about whatever this thing, this savior to the PS4, or essentially Xbox One, PC, whatever you want to look at it at some point, is to the gaming audience, or the RPG audience. But let's probably get back into it and let's talk about details. So, I've been combing through as much information as possible, and I've seen everything that needs to be seen about this game. Well, pretty much everything we know at this point. And I've seen the fluctuations go up from up and down to, oh my god, I need this game in my life, to, oh my god, fuck this game. And it happened so quickly and so swiftly, it's kind of crazy. But I'm here to level the playing field, to pretty much talk about what needs to be said about this experience. So, let's talk about the details on it, on the trailer itself. And of course, I can't show you gameplay of the trailer because, you know, it's copyright, stuff like that. Whatever, it's fine. You've all seen it, and I'll have the link in the description below, so go see it yourself. Go watch it. It's amazing. Not gonna say it's the worst trailer. It's probably the best trailer. First things first is, holy crap, this game just got announced like earlier this year, and we've already got a gameplay trailer. Like, holy crap. Holy crappers indeed. I mean, think about it, like games like, you know, Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. Oh, Jesus, I don't want to talk about that game anytime soon. But I feel like that's a game that's going to be lead into some crazy discussions on another topic that I may discuss at some point. To pretty much, it took so long it took years in between trailers for us to even see little bits of anything. But here it's just, hey, it's, you know, here's the first part of the game. You guys remember this, you guys remember that, it's great. Essentially, so what the official title for the Final Fantasy VII Remake is, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I guess, like, well, pretty much Square Enix have said we felt like if we put a subtitle in, it's just going to confuse a lot of people. I get that. Final Fantasy VII Remake is probably the best way you're going to market this sort of thing. Because Sony, Square Enix have already put out quite like a few days ago, as you can see, the PlayStation 4 port of the PlayStation 1 version, or the PC version of Final Fantasy VII. And quick first impressions of that, it's fine, it works great, it's a good nostalgia trip, 3D models are cleaned up a bit, there's a freaking you left click the analog stick to go faster, so it doesn't feel like a drag as much as it's a great port, it's fantastic actually. So, things that they wanted to do, the biggest thing that people are really upset about initially when the trailer hit was the move from turn-based combat to real-time combat. But I'm here to clear the air, it's not so much an action-based game, and from the looks of it, it does, and that's because it looks like something that's from 15, and 15 is very action-based, very like Kingdom Hearts sort of esque sort of combat, and Kingdom Hearts can be really fast depending on how you play it and stuff like that. But with this game in particular, Final Fantasy VII Remake, the pretty much Nomura has said that it's a much more tactical approach to the real-time combat system. So when I hear about that, I think of games like as much as I hate to talk about it, Lightning Returns in a way, in which it had elements of you being able to walk around, but you still had commands and you still had a bar in which you had to manage while you're playing this game. And I think that's interesting. I think that's because they've said in interviews that they're trying to do a modern interpretation of the active time battle system that was in Final Fantasy VII. They want to play around with the systems at the moment. The one they showed in the trailer is a prototype at this point. There's not actually any groundwork. I mean, if you really think about it, the combat that we saw in the Final Fantasy 15 episode Duske demo is a prototype. It wasn't actually the final version of the thing. It was close. Don't get me wrong, it's close, but it's not quite there yet. So I'm feeling it's the same sort of situation with Final Fantasy VII Remake. The next big thing that everyone really went crazy, like I think I went crazy for, is the fact that it's so fast that we're getting so much content right now. And the thing is that they've already done voice acting. Voice acting is usually reserved if you're in a game development standpoint. Voice acting should be done last. It should be the last thing you do. But whether or not there's two possibilities from this. One, it could be the fact that they're doing it because the trailer's coming out, so they said the lines specifically for this trailer. Or two, they're really close. They're really close, and they've already done so much in terms of in pretty much at this point, and that's crazy. So what I want to talk about next is I probably should get the big one out of the way. The fact that this is going to be a pretty much, it's not a full release in the traditional sense. It's more or less not episode. I don't want to say episodic because it's not. Episodic is a really bad way of saying it. I'd say more of a multi-part series is what they're saying, and I think I can totally understand where they're coming from. If you think about it, the original FF7 release on PlayStation 1 was split into 3 discs. Now, the main reason for that was because of, believe it or not, memory limitations, because FMVs during the time took a lot of space. They were movies, essentially. And back then, you were working on 700 megabytes of pretty much data. And, there's only so much a movie you can fit on a 700 meg data. You look at it now, we've got terabytes and gigabytes. No, back then, you had to work within the confines of 700 megs. And they understood that, so that's why they split the game into 3 parts. Whether or not that they would do that sort of thing now is a testament to how much work they're putting into this game is almost ridiculous at this point. You see the first area from the trailer, that's just a pre-rendered image on the PlayStation 1 version, but for the remake, they have to rebuild that entire environment from scratch and rebuild it and make it explorable as well. That takes a lot of time, a lot of money. Now imagine doing that for every single part of the game. It's impossible. I think Nomura has said it before that if they were ever to remake FF7, it's from a technical standpoint, it's almost impossible. But somehow at this point in time, they feel comfortable enough to feel that they can, all the stars aligned, and I'll get into that in a minute, where everything aligned to the point that it can be possible. And having it in a multi-part series, I'm personally, this is my first opinions, I'm okay with it. I think it's a good idea. Two things, a lot of things we can benefit from this multi-part stuff. One, we may get we'll get the game faster. We'll get the first part, whatever you want to call it, first part, faster. We're gonna get it straight up. We're not gonna get it down the line. We don't have to wait anytime soon. We might even get it God knows. We might even get it next year. Who knows? The first part next year. Damn, bam, it's done. They've already explained that it's gonna be a full-sized game. It's not gonna be a cut-down version of Final Fantasy VII. It's a full-sized game up to a certain point. So, I'm not going to say spoilers or anything, but let's say a giant event happens, and it ends there, and we have to wait. That's probably, the worst way you could do it, because we'd have to wait. I think the waiting is what people are latching onto, and that part I understand. The waiting is what's really going to bug a lot of people, knowing that you don't have a complete package from the start to end. But quite recently, I started playing FF7, and like, that game's long. That game's really long, and like getting it right it's gonna be a challenge for the development team. So yeah, so I'm okay with it being a multi-part series. They've pretty much said we don't want to make this Final Fantasy VII digest, and having to stretch the entire thing to one game would be not beneficial for the team. I think it's understandable. Yeah, so let's see. They don't want to do cuts to it, so that makes totally sense. Of course, Midgard should be completely, completely explorable. So, who they got for the models is the visual works director, Square Enix, and the characters in the trailer look really good, like high quality. And okay, I'm gonna go and say a lot of things. People are already complaining about Cloud being too pale. Now, as much as I hate to say, I agree. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. There's a reason why he's pale. There's a reason why he's like that. There's a reason why his arms are lanky. It's because of story reasons. And I'm assuming because people don't remember a lot from FF7 or like a lot of things like that. Well, it's been a while since they've learned FF7. You have to understand there is story reasons as to why they are like that. It's not something that just like, oh, let's make him more emo or anything like that. I guess he has to be emo at some point, but that's besides the point. There is story reasons behind it, so I'm not so bothered by it at all. Let's see. Probably one of the biggest news that come out of this was the fact that CyberConnect 2 is co-developing this game. Now, I think it's a benefit. I'll list my reasons why it's a benefit. It's because any sort of external group that's working with a project naturally speeds it up because you're offloading a lot of the work onto them. But it's like, CyberConnect 2, they've already proven that they've delved into Final Fantasy VII a little bit with the G-Bike game, which never came out to Australia or anything like that, which kind of annoys me, because I'd play the shit out of that game. It looks really fun. But the fact is, CyberConnect 2 is co-developing it. I mean, Square Enix is pulling in a lot of third-party developers to work on their games. I mean, with the announcement of Nier having Platinum Games on it, who's the next best one? Well, CyberConnect 2, and CyberConnect 2 clearly has great, they know animation. They've done a lot of games that require a lot of animation and stuff like that, like the Naruto Ninja Storm series. I think they worked on Dot Hack as well. I'm not really quite familiar with that, but they also worked on a little known game that I enjoyed immensely called Asura's Wrath, and that had great sort of cinematics and stuff like that. So the sort of flair that they will have will, of course, Square Enix has already said that Nomura has complained on a few things that CyberConnect 2 has done, and that's fine. Nomura is the director. He has to choose who it is and stuff like that. So Square Enix, CyberConnect 2, great team working together. I have high hopes. I think it's going to be great. So, let's see. Another thing is they're not using Advent Children models because it's over 10 years old. It looks old. That's great. Kind of makes you feel old inside, knowing that that movie back at the time was like, wow, this is great CGI. And now it's like, oh, it's pretty old to now. It's fine. Square, the cross-dressing scene, which I did recently, I played up to recently, is going to be in there. That's going to be really interesting how they do that. Let's see. I'm reading off a list. I'm trying to keep my minds off seeing. Party members go up to 3. That's fine. So essentially, I gotta reiterate on the multi-part thing again. So there's a tweet from Takashi Mochizuki. I don't know who he is. Oh, he's a Wall Street reporter. So he said in his tweet, the Square Enix says Final Fantasy VII Remake's data size is so huge, the software will be split into several titles. For example, FF7 Remake 1, FF7 Remake 2. While the basic story scenario will be the same, there will be new scenes added to FF7 Remake, Square Enix says. See, that makes sense. I mean, you look at Final Fantasy 13, that game is 50 gigs, and that's just one game. And that was made back then. Now it's different now, and I think the scope that FF7 is compared to 13 is blows it out of the water. there's so much stuff in FF7 compared to FF13 that it's not even a joke. Like they're gonna go past that 50 gig barrier in one go, and like it makes sense to split it. Like so, it's pretty much data restraints. It's the same sort of situation as the free discs from FF7. They're running out of data, so they need more, so they need to split it. That's pretty cool, pretty interesting, actually. Yeah, pretty interesting. So the last part of information that I wanted to touch up on is important, and it's the fact is that FF7 Remake will run on the Unreal Engine 4. Now, this to me kind of explains why it's so fast. It's because Square isn't working on the engine, they're working on just the game itself and the coding and the arts and stuff like that, and the co-developer is CyberConnect 2, and leaving all the engine side of things to Unreal Engine. So it's a lot, again, it's less work on Square Enix for them to focus on what matters, the game and stuff, the gameplay and all that kind of stuff. And you know, we've got games like the games are coming out for Square Enix's side. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 is using Unreal Engine 4, I'm assuming for the prologue chapter. Kingdom Hearts 3 and a few other games are using Unreal Engine 4, so I can totally see it happening. And for them to make it so quickly, it kind of explains itself why it's so quickly, why it looks really clean and looks so shiny so suddenly. Why they didn't use Luminous Engine, I don't quite understand. I understand that they're using Luminous for the FF15. Maybe they feel like Unreal Engine 4 would just be a little bit more quicker to develop for. Not 100% sure. But it is an interesting sort of topic. So essentially, 3 companies are dipping their toes into the FF7 remake. The original creators, CyberConnect 2, and Unreal. That's pretty crazy. So what are you guys' thoughts on this whole situation, this FF7 remake? I'm excited. I'm still excited for it. There's all this great news just dumped onto us, which is fantastic. I think it's interesting knowing that Square Enix is really pushing a lot of their they're really trying to clean up their Final Fantasy sort of reputation. I mean, they already sort of did it with Heaven's Sword and stuff like that, but a lot of people don't play MMOs, unfortunately. I play a lot of FF14, as you can see from the channel, but knowing that, like, I know there's a people it just doesn't appeal to, but it does. It is a great Final Fantasy game. So, what are you guys' thoughts? Leave a comment, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Koi51 out. Have a great day.